Hey there, welcome back to Creepy Encounters. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. To all Reddit travelers, what is your creepiest hotel story? My mom was traveling for work and sat next to a man, fellow business traveler, on the plane. They had a casual conversation and exchanged business cards. Later that evening she's in her hotel watching TV and gets a phone call from the front desk that her husband is here and they want to know if they can give him a key to the room. Turns out the creep on the plane was pretending to be her husband to try to get into her room. I was traveling out of the country right after finishing up a huge 5-day work event where I had about 10 hours of sleep total during the 5 days. I got to the motel, which is kinda run down and the carpet and blankets are damp, but I'm so exhausted I don't even really think about it. I fall asleep pretty much immediately at like 8 p.m. local time. At maybe 11 p.m. or so, I get a call from the motel phone saying there's been a complaint about noise. I tell them that's impossible, I've been sleeping. They ask me if maybe it's someone else in the room and I tell them nope, I'm here alone so there's definitely no one else making noise. They ask me again if I'm sure I'm by myself and not causing any noise. I say yes again. Fall back asleep immediately. When I woke up and thought about it some more, I realized how weird the entire interaction was. There was absolutely no noise I could hear anywhere nearby, and I don't know why the motel staff would need to clarify so many times that I was alone. Apparently they never called. So I assume it must have been someone calling the different rooms to see who was in the rooms and how many people. I've never been so glad to always use the extra latch chain lock. While in the Isles of Scotland, we stayed in a band. It was owned by a couple. The bedrooms were extremely well done and beautiful, but on everything there was signs to not touch. To use the shower, you would have to ask the couple and the internet ended at 11 p.m. The woman would also check on everyone at random times in the night. We would hear creeping in the hallway to make sure everyone was sleeping and not doing any illegal things like using the internet. When we checked out of her band, she came into our room and said that we stunk, and opened the window to prove this and demanded for money immediately. Another traveler was kicked out of the band because the checkout time was 10 a.m., and they were forced to stand outside. She wouldn't even let them stay inside, in the thunderstorm while their taxi came. Another traveler had to go a check. We were in an isolated place, to pay for the room and she took their bags and wouldn't give them back. But on the way out, she asked everyone if they enjoyed their stay. Edit. So I took a look at their TripAdvisor page and the ownership seems to have changed to a much nicer couple since we visited it in 2015. However, all of the negative reviews are from before the change. Location was Isle of Skye, Portree. Found a hotel in Yangon, Burma, the day we got there for pretty cheap. They mentioned the rates were low because maintenance was being done on several floors. We sleep fine, wake up and head to breakfast. At breakfast we met some Germans who had also stayed the night in our hotel. They said they had not slept well because during the middle of the night someone woke them up to move them from the floor they were on. Us and the Germans, found out later that they had been moved because they were on one of the levels reserved for maintenance, and part of the maintenance included gassing the rooms for bugs. During the middle of the night they were just going around the rooms shoving the gas nozzle or whatever under the doors and letting them run, wound up killing the two people next to the Germans before they realized they accidentally booked people on that floor. We weren't on that floor thankfully, but it has always stuck with me how seemingly easy it could have been to have gotten mixed up in that. Family vacation. 1 a.m. My brother and I had just finished watching The Shining on TV. Neither of us had seen it before. We heard someone trying to open our door. No one else was supposed to have keys. Someone tried to swing open the door, but the hotel lock stopped them. They kept trying to open it multiple times, banging the door against the lock. After a few tries, they gave up. The hotel desk clerk accidentally entered the wrong room for their keycards. It was probably best way I saw The Shining. I can't be scared more than that from that movie. When I was 12, I was staying in a motel with my mom on a road trip. We were in the middle of nowhere in Texas at a motel that had a decent rating in our guidebook and was really cheap, so we went for it. In the middle of the night, the owner knocked on the door and told us we had to leave because he wanted the room for someone else. My mom was outside arguing with him while I was gathering our things, and I was terrified because I heard him start yelling. I looked out the window and saw about half a dozen bikers in vests appear out of nowhere, maybe a nearby room, and start confronting the owner. My mom came inside quickly and we watched them start harassing the guy, things like she's paid to be here. You're gonna let her stay tonight. We don't want to ever hear shit like this from you again. And the owner was saying things like I don't want any trouble. Everybody left fairly quickly and we didn't ever hear anything about it the next day at checkout. We weren't able to sleep very well because we were so shook up, but it was better than getting in the car again. Thank you, Anonymous Biker Gang. In 1996, while air drying naked after a shower lying on my hotel bed in Beijing with the curtains drawn, I received a call demanding I put on clothes. Oh, I have one. Though this has turned out quite long to describe. So mine takes place in a London hostel a few weeks ago. I have 2 friends with me that are both male, and we're staying in a 9-bed mixed dorm. There's 3 sets of 3-tier bunk beds. I'm in the bottom bed of the right bunk, friend 1 in the top of my bunk, friend 2 in bottom bed of middle bunk. So we get in at 2 a.m. and all just quietly get in our beds. After a few minutes of lying there trying to sleep, I hear rustling behind me. I'm lying on my side facing the wall. So I think it is just someone going through their bag and ignore it. Then I feel a hand on my hip over the cover. I turn round and it's a random guy telling me to move over and trying to pull at my cover. I initially thought he was drunk and wasn't sure which bed to be in, so I tell him to go find his own bed, and then he shuffles away to bottom bed of left bunk. Then he comes back again. I again tell him to go back to his own bed and he shuffles back to his own again. This happens another couple of times, with me gradually speaking louder and getting less polite, telling him to fuck off. So I'm shaking cause the situation is making me nervous, and message my mate that's on the top bunk, saying I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep that night. He messages back casually thinking it's cause of someone snoring. This is when I find out both my mates have earplugs in, and although they've heard me speaking, they each thought I was speaking to the other friend. So I tell him the situation and he starts keeping an eye out. I hear the guy go to the bathroom that is en suite, but I can tell from the light he left the bathroom door open whilst doing so and refused to look. My mate fills me in that the guy was walking round with his pants down and deliberately left the door open to get me to look, but either way the guy goes back to his bed after and we think the situation is finally over. Then it happens again. My mate, keeping an eye out, shines his phone light on the floor and shouts for the guy to fuck off. Apparently he was crawling across the floor again towards me. The guy suddenly takes offense at my mate's light shining on him and starts actually climbing the bunk ladder like King Kong to get to my mate on the top and was trying to take his phone. They wrestle for a while with my mate actually kicking the guy in the neck to try and keep him away, only for the guy to swing backwards and come straight back at him again. I use this time to run for security, who find the guy still hanging on the bed when they get there, then call the police and have the guy taken away in a riot van and banned from the building. Whilst the police had dragged him outside waiting for the riot van, the guy even head-butted the brick wall several times. No idea what that guy was on cause it wasn't alcohol, but definitely on something to take a kick to the neck and still act like nothing happened afterwards. The guy kept trying to blame my mate when security came as well, saying things in broken English like "come up here and see how violent this guy is." My other mate that had slept through the whole incident kept saying the next day that he couldn't believe how friendly everyone in London is. Edit, please don't let this put you off hostels. I've traveled in them alone around Europe and never had any problems before. Usually hostels are a great way to meet people or find activities to do in the local area. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more real-life creepy encounters around the world. See you in the next video. Bye.